So Torah this year is entitled AIPAC and Rav Meir Kahane. So we started a series about Rav Meir Kahane Z. He already died. He was assassinated already 30 years ago, where we started talking about him so people can understand who he was, especially now that his spiritual descendants, have a good chance of being in the Knesset with the right-wing bloc. So many people are talking about him. And it's important to understand who he was, what he stood for, his ideas, ideology. This is not necessarily saying one should vote for the party, not vote for the party. I'm not getting into politics in that way, as much as understanding who was this man. So in this third part, I'd like to analyze AIPAC and Rav Meir Kahane. Now, AIPAC really in Meir Kahane's days was not a force like it is now. Now it's a major force in American politics. And recently they came out saying that it's unacceptable what's going on in Israel today. What's unacceptable? That Bayit Yehudi, with the backing of Bibi Netanyahu, embracing Otzma Yehudit, that they should be, that this party should become part of that right-wing bloc. And they're saying this is unacceptable. It's an extreme group, this party, and they should not be accepted into the Bayit Yehudi. The Bayit Yehudi is wrong. Bibi is wrong for backing it. That's unacceptable. So I think it's a very important point here, because many are saying that it's fascinating how when the left-wing parties embrace some very extreme left-wing extremists, where some of the Arab extremists on the left could do some things that are not in Israel's best interest, to put it nicely. They'll talk about the evil members of Tzahal. They'll go on flotillas to break the blockade, Israel's blockade on Gaza. They'll go talk with Hezbollah. So somehow, when left-wing parties or the Labor Party will join them over the last 30, 40 years, AIPAC isn't screaming about that. And they say, we don't get involved in Israeli politics and elections. We're in America. This is not our say. We support Israel in other ways. We can't get involved meddling in their affairs when it comes to elections. But over here, no, we have our say. So Bibi actually came at them. And doesn't usually go ahead and criticize AIPAC. It's a wonderful movement that supports Israel in many, many ways. But over here he said, what's going on? It's a hypocrisy. A, for you to get involved in elections is not a simple thing. And two, where's your consistency? Why are you screaming over the years when the Labor and others embraced extreme people on the left? And calling them extreme people on the left is generous. People were outright supported enemies of Israel. And I think this is a very important example. The Shia now is not just a question of AIPAC and what their policies are, is being objective and not being hypocritical. Or sometimes I think when it comes to analyzing any situation, but now we're talking about Rav Meir Kahane and his party and his spiritual legacy, I think the objectivity is compromised very often, where people don't know what he maintained or know what he maintains, but all of a sudden the same rule book that you had in other situations don't apply here, where you may believe in free speech when it comes to other people, but not when it comes to him. Now when it comes to his party, we could go ahead and bring hundreds of people into his rallies or to his followers' rallies, and we'll drown them out with foghorns. No free speech. No, that's fine when it comes to Arabs can have free speech. This one can have free speech. Everyone's entitled to free speech. They can have their rallies. They can have their get-togethers, but not this one. Where is the consistency? So I think objectivity is often compromised. And that's a challenge that AIPAC has to deal with also. Are you being objective? Are you being fair? And yes, Kahane had extreme views, and his spiritual legacy may have extreme views as well. Are you treating them the same way you treat others? And that's a great question, because anytime you have a person who's a little bit different than others, it could bring out some irrationality, and that needs to be looked into. That's why the party themselves said, AIPAC, kol hakavod, you want to give your views over. And you know what? We have a great idea for you. Make aliyah, become citizens, become part of this fun, dynamic election process, and give over your views. But all of a sudden, over there in the States, you can start giving your views. Is that the role of people outside of Israel? That's a nice question as well that needs to be analyzed. But what's the bottom line of my point here? That I hope when people who claim to be chachamim, rational people, I hope they could be objective and rational and wise when dealing with any situation. You have to make sure that certain people, certain parties don't all of a sudden just upset the equilibrium. And Rav Kahane, his spiritual legacy, can do that to people, and you have to be in check to make sure. Let me think about this clearly and objectively with Chachma and Bina and Dat. Shalom.